Hi, this is Bishop Craig in DeWitt, and this is take one for the week of November 12th. Peace be with you. I have a busy week this week. On Monday the 13th, Pastor Bright and I will meet with the Church Council at Trinity in Grand Rapids for the exit interview of Pastor Bob Lindstrom, who will conclude his ministry as senior pastor at Trinity and retire at the end of the month. So we're praying for Trinity and for Pastor Bob as they come to a fork in the road after some pretty impressive ministry together these years. On Tuesday, we have our small catechism class in the evening. During the day, I have some appointments. On Wednesday, we have staff meeting, and then the Living Water Ministries Board. And then Pastor Sprang and I are meeting with the Church Council at Advent in Lake Ann. On Thursday, I begin the day at the St. Francis Retreat Center in DeWitt, participating in the women's retreat from Hope in Plainwell. A little later then in the day, I have the Region 6 bishops. And then late afternoon into the evening, we have both the Budget Committee and the Endowment Committee. So I'm really grateful for Zoom this week because I'm getting to do a lot of things in a week that I would not be able to do if I was traveling all over the state. So I'm thankful for Zoom this week. On Saturday, Kathy and I will head north because on Sunday we have the installation of Pastor Haley Vay Beeman at Feast of Victory in Acme. And Pastor Sprang will be heading west so that he might be at the installation of Pastor Kyle Duff at St. Luke's in Grand Rapids. So we rejoice with both congregations and with these called pastors as they officially commence ministry together. The gospel reading for Sunday is the parable of the talents. And I always love it when I hear a parable and I hear it in a new way. And that is what happened to me this week. So the parable of the talents is about the landowner or the master who goes away and entrusts some of his wealth to the servants, and then comes back and wants to know what they did with it. And so we tell these parables as we get near to Advent and Jesus is coming again, and will come and judge the living and the dead, or we will give an account to what we have done. And we always want this account to be, here's your good marks and here's your bad marks, and here's the way you kept the commandments and here's the way you didn't. And okay, did you turn a profit in your life? Sounds fun. That's not how I heard the parable this time. So he gives them the money and they come back. And the first one has, doubled the money, and the second one has doubled the talents, the money. And the third one, he had buried what he'd been given in a hole. He had hid it. And what he says to the master is, "Master, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you did not scatter. So I was afraid, and I hid what you gave me in a hole, and now I'm giving it back to you." And the master is enraged. And I always kind of heard it as the master was enraged because the servant didn't turn a profit. I wonder now, was the master enraged because of what the servant thought of him? So you knew that I was a harsh man, did you? And you've decided that I reap where I don't sow and gather where I don't scatter. Well, if that's what you think of me, then you should at the very least given what I gave you to the bankers so I would have got some interest. But you didn't even do that. The question I'm left with is this. Was the master, the landowner, a harsh man, reaping where he didn't sow and gathering where he didn't scatter? Or was that the servant's perception of the master? How easy it is that we turn our God into something that our God is not, because we lose track of the fact that God is made known in Jesus. And even the Jesus that we imagine is going to return somehow has nothing to do with the Jesus who came, the Jesus who was born among us and lived our lives and was with us in the ultimate of deaths, death on a cross, and who rose from death and brings us with him because not even death will keep God from loving us. That's the master who is returning. I wonder if the master was enraged because the servant thought so badly of him, and then he allowed the servant allowed his bad feelings about the master to make him afraid, so afraid that he didn't do anything with what the master had given him. What if the question is not, did you turn a prophet? But what did you do with what you've been given? What did you do with what you've been given? What are you doing with what you've been given? Are you trying? Are you taking a risk? Or are you just being afraid and holding on to what you got? The Jesus who is coming brings life out of death. So maybe we can dare to risk. And maybe we can loosen our grip on what we got. And maybe we can invest. And if we lose, maybe God will smile anyway because at least we tried. Now, how that plays out in our lives and in the life of our congregations and in the life of our church, how that plays out specifically is a matter for discernment and prayer. And maybe that's a good thing to do in Advent. But what we could dare to do is to stop being afraid and to stop turning our God into something our God isn't, and to look instead to the God made known to us in Jesus. The word is kind of officially out. Pastor Dana Hendershot had her last infusion this past week, and so did Pastor Sarah Samuelson. So we give thanks for that, we pray for that, and we wait and watch and pray as we wait for results. And the word is also officially out. I learned along with the church that Bishop Eaton is taking some time away, a leave of absence. And so I invite us all to remember our presiding bishop and her husband and their family in our prayers, to pray for our churchwide organization, and to pray for retired Bishop Michael Burke, who is graciously stepping in as presiding bishop pro tem. When I was a professor at LSTC, I was assigned to the Southeastern Iowa Synod, and Bishop Burke was my bishop. I sent him a message and said I'd be praying for him in this new role because I figured it was my prayers that got him through the first time. He just sent a thumbs up. So that's all I know about what's happening in our church, except it'd be really good to pray. And it's always good to pray for your leaders and to make sure that they are taking care of themselves. And that sometimes involves giving them opportunities to care for themselves and insisting they do. And that's what leave of absences are about, so that they can come back renewed and resilient and ready to continue the important work that our pastors and bishops do for us. Deacons too. So I'm Bishop Craig, and this is Take One, and the peace of Christ be with you. Take care.